What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to use your RockOn-7 moving headlight. So as you can see, it comes with the light itself, a DMX and a power cable, a mounting bracket, and a wireless remote. Now there's many different ways we can place our headlight that include on the floor, either on the back of the stage or the front of the stage. You can also place it on other surfaces like a table or a totem stand, but for the totem stand you're going to want to make sure to remove the 35mm pole mount to make room for the headlight. You can also place the included mounting bracket onto the bottom of your light so we can mount it onto a truss. So to do that, you can take your mounting bracket, and you're also going to need a lighting clamp like our very own LC70. So the first thing we're going to want to do is remove the bolt here from our lighting clamp by removing this wing nut first. Then we can go ahead and loosen the bolt here, and in case it's really stuck onto the clamp, you can use something like a wrench to loosen it, and then once it's loose enough, you can just unscrew the bolt. Now with the bolt taken off of our lighting clamp, we can then take the mounting bracket and line up this middle hole here on your bracket to the hole here of your clamp. Take the bolt that we just took out and run it through the holes of your bracket and clamp, and then you can screw the wing nut back onto the bolt for extra security. So now we can take our light and look right underneath to see these screws here on the bottom of the light. Then we can take a screwdriver or a drill to remove these screws. Then we're going to take the mounting bracket and clamp and line up these holes here on the mounting bracket to the screw holes here on the bottom of the light. Then we can run our screws back through these holes and use a screwdriver or drill to lock it all in place. So now that we've got the mounting bracket and clamp attached to the light, we can then loosen this butterfly screw here to open up the clamp. Then we can line it up to an opening on our truss and tighten the butterfly screw to secure the light onto the truss. From there, we can run the power to the light to power it on and use any of the included modes for our gig or event. So once we have our light placed the way we want, we can then take our power cable, run the female end to the back of the light, then plug the other end to a power outlet or power strip. Now if we take a look at the front of the light, you'll see the LED display to let you know what mode the light is set to. We also got these side lights here to let you know the light is in DMX, Master, Slave, or Sound mode. Then we have the buttons underneath here to control the light. So we have the menu button to bring us to different modes, the up and down buttons to toggle through the different settings of the modes, and the enter button to enter these modes or to save our changes. So let's go through all the different modes right now. So we got the DMX address mode to set the DMX address for our light to use with a DMX controller. Next we have the NAFA menu where we can cycle between different modes built into the light. So the first mode we have is the auto fast mode. From there we can press enter and see that the auto mode is set to fast. And then we can use the up and down buttons to set it to the other auto modes. So we've got the NSTS, which is the sound mode for the light, where it will change along to the sound picked up by the built-in microphone. Keep in mind the different modes won't activate until you press enter on the mode you want to use. So for example, if I want to use the sound mode, I'm going to cycle to the NSTS mode, press enter, and then the light will be set to sound mode. So if I clap, you'll see that the light is changing along with the sound. Next we got the NSTC, which is the standalone mode. So if we press enter, you'll see it start to go into the standalone mode. Next we have the slave mode that we can use when connecting the light to a master light. And then from there it's going to follow whatever the master light does. And then we have the NASL mode, which is the auto slow mode. Next we have the pan control where we can control the pan for the light, and after that we have the tilt mode where we can control the tilt of the light. Next we have the display mode where we can reverse the display, which is handy if we have the light upside down. Next we have the DMX Channel Mode where we can set how much control we have over our light using a DMX controller, and we have two different settings of 14 channel or 16 channel mode. Next we have the reset mode to machine reset our light, and then we have the load mode to set our light back to the factory settings. Lastly, on the back of the light we have the DMX in and the DMX out, which we can use with DMX controllers, other lights in our chain, etc. Now another way we can control our lights is with a DMX controller, which is great to use for stage productions, live performances, etc. So to connect my DMX controller to the first light here, we can take the included DMX cable, plug the male end into the DMX out on my controller, then plug the other end into the DMX in on my first light. To add another light to the setup, I can take another DMX cable, plug the male end into the DMX out on my first light, then plug the other end into the DMX in on the next light. And if you wanted to add even more lights, you're just going to repeat this process all the way down the chain. So the next thing we're going to do on our lights is set them all to the same DMX address and the same DMX channel mode. This way we can set how much control we have over our lights using the DMX controller. So again, we have the 14 channel mode and the 16 channel mode, and which one you use really just depends on how much control you want to have over your lights. For today, let's just set them to the 14 channel mode. So to set up our light to the 14 channel mode, we're going to press the menu button until we get to the 16CH or the 14CH mode. And then once it says 14 channel mode, we're going to press enter to set it to 14 channel mode. Now to set them up to the same DMX address, we're going to press the menu button on our lights until we get to the D001 menu. So for today, we're just going to set them both to D001. And remember, you're going to want to set all of the lights you have in your setup to the same DMX address and DMX channel mode. So now I can go ahead and turn on my controller, activate all of these scanners on my controller, and now we can go through each fader and see what they do with our lights. Now when we move our faders, it can also be reflected as the values we set with our faders. And with each fader, we have the value range of 0 to 255, and you can always tell the value that your fader is being set at by looking at the LED display on the top corner of your controller when you move the fader. So fader 1 controls the pan for the light, so the more I raise fader 1, the more you'll see the light start to pan. Then we have fader 2 to control the tilt of the light, so if I raise it, you'll see them tilt up. We have fader 3 to control the pan and the tilt speed. So if I raise fader 3 all the way up and then go to use faders 1 and 2, you'll see that it starts to pan and tilt a little slower. And while I have this fader down and use faders 1 and 2, they'll pan and tilt a lot faster. Next we have fader 4 that acts as the master dimmer, or how bright we set our lights. So let's raise it all the way up for max brightness. Next we have fader 5 to control the strobe for the light, but we're not going to notice anything happening until we set a color for our light. So we have fader 6 to control the red LEDs coming out of our light, so the more I raise fader 6, the more red you'll see coming through. Then we have fader 7 to control the green LEDs, fader 8 to control the blue LEDs, and then we can skip over to the next page on our DMX controller and use fader 9 to control the white LEDs. So another really cool thing is you can use faders 6 through 9 to make a custom color, just like I did here. And then we can circle back to fader 5 and use the strobe mode. So if I raise fader 5 just a little bit, you'll see the lights start to flash. And the higher I raise fader 5, the faster the strobe. Now fader 10 activates different effects depending on the value range it's set to, or how high the fader is set to, like we said earlier. So for example, if I set this fader anywhere from 16 to 128, it's going to go to the automatic motor movement mode. You can also set it anywhere from 129 to 255 for the sound automated movement mode. And next to that we have fader 11, where we can control the speed of the movement. So the higher I raise it, the slower the lights will move, and if I have it set lower, it'll go faster. Fader 12 also has different effects depending on the value range. So for example, I can raise it anywhere from 0 to 140, and it's going to go into the automatic color change mode. I can also use the value range of 141 to 255 for the sound automated color mode. Then we can use fader 13 to control the speed of the color change, so the higher I raise it, the faster the colors will cycle. And then we have fader 14 to reset our lights once it's set to 250 or higher. Now if you ever get confused on what each fader does in either 14 channel or 16 channel mode, you can always refer to the DMX guide that comes included with your lights. Now since our lights don't have a wireless DMX feature, you can always get a wireless DMX receiver like the DMX WRE to connect to a wireless DMX controller like the one we have here for a completely wireless setup. The way we can do this is by matching the wireless ID between the controller and the receivers. Let me show you how that works right now. So if I turn on my receiver, I can use this button here on the side to switch the wireless ID color for the receiver. For today, I'm gonna set it to dark blue, and by the way, you might need a small item like a screwdriver to turn on the receiver and to switch the color. I can do the same exact thing on my controller by turning on the wireless feature here. You're then going to see this LED light up for the wireless ID on our controller, and we can switch it by using the button here underneath the LED. Again, we're going to want to set it to dark blue to match the receiver. After that, you'll see the LED on your controller flash red, while the LED on your receiver flashes green, letting us know they're connected and synced. After that, all you gotta do is connect the receiver to your light, make sure they're set to the same DMX address and the DMX channel mode, and now if I play with my controller, you'll start to see that it interacts with our lights. If you wanted to set up more lights wirelessly, you can get more receivers for each light, or even if you just get one receiver, you can plug it into your first light while you connect the rest of the lights in your chain with DMX cables and still have a wireless setup between your controller and your lights. Another way we can control multiple lights without a DMX controller is by using the master-slave function. To set that up, we're first going to decide which light we want to use as our master light. So for today, let's go with this one here. I can then take the included DMX cable and plug the male end into the DMX out on my master light. Then I can take the other end and plug it into the DMX in on my first slave light. If we wanted to set up even more lights, you're just going to repeat this process all the way down the chain. I'm then going to press the menu button to go to the mode menu and use the up and down button till I see the slave mode, and then press enter to set it to the slave mode. So now I can go to my master light and set it into any mode, change the pan or tilt for the light, and then all the slave lights in the chain will follow. Another way we can control our light is with the wireless remote. So if we look on top here, you'll see that we have a power button to turn our light on or off. We have this save button so the light can remember the last setting it was set to. We also got the reset button to reset our light altogether. We also got buttons to set our light to the auto, sound, or strobe mode. And we can use the speed plus and speed minus buttons to control the speed of the auto, sound, or strobe mode. We got the dimmer button to control the brightness for our lights. And we can adjust the brightness by using the speed plus and the speed minus buttons. We can also press the color button to change the color of our light using the speed plus and speed minus button. We got the full button to set our light to the full mode. We also got the X button to control the pan for the light and the Y button to control the tilt for the light. Once we press any of these buttons, we can use the speed plus and the speed minus button to control the actual pan or tilt. We can also set our lights to the base colors of red, green, blue, or white. And then lastly, we can set our lights to the automated mode using the number buttons here. So we can press the 1 button to set it to an automated mode, and then the 2, 3, and 4 buttons to set it to the other automated modes. From there, we can also use the speed plus and the speed minus buttons to control the speed for these modes. You can also use the remote to control your lights while in master slave mode, or to control the lights at a line of sight distance while pointing directly at each light. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your RockOn-7 moving headlights. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.